Should get some real good responses out of this one, man. Be a long day, Jack, but you can handle it. Bing, 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 bing. Well, I know one thing. I got roasted yesterday. I can't get roasted today. And we'll get it back. Just hate missing out on opportunities, though. Do 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 do. I'll give him another 30 seconds. I don't know what that was. As soon as that process, I'm good. Talking raisin, that's what he told me. All right, we're good. All right, this is Sports for Real with Coach Hall. 2 more days before they tee it up in the cold weather for the conference championships. You got Philadelphia and Kansas City. Philadelphia and Washington in the early game. And then at night, you got the headliner, the Bills and the Chiefs. Going to be some great matchups. Before I get to that, let's talk a little other news. I saw where Deion Sanders got his hand slapped for recruiting violations. You know, they got so many rules in the NCAA, and they're more apt to act on frivolous errors than the egregious things that's taking place. There's so many things going on behind the scenes with this NIL stuff that I kind of agree with the coaches panel that Congress needs to step in and do something. Otherwise, you're going to see some really, really, really crazy things unfold with that. And I'm talking about, in some instances, resorting to violence behind the scenes to get these people to do what they want them to do. But let's hope it doesn't come to that. But back to Sanders, he mentioned a recruit that they ended up getting, by the way, on one of his shows, and that is a violation. You're not supposed to do that. So what they did, they're going to re-educate him, and at the same time, they are going to take 4 in-person visits that he can have over the spring. They're going to take that from him. So this is the kind of games that the NCAA play. They will jack you up over a frivolous infraction and roast you about it. Sharon Moore, he's also on the news, the Michigan guy. Come to find out that that cheating scandal that they had, the coach in his contract had it written where he cannot be punished for cause because of his involvement in the situation. It would be kind of silly to fire the guy for cause if he was hired after the fact and you knew about potential involvement before then. So the whole thing is kind of silly to me, but the fact that you would fire the guy after you knew that he might have had some involvement with that to save face, I just don't see it. But what I could see is he was just a temporary hire until they can find the guy that they want. And then they might come back with some kind of show call stuff. But there's no telling about the way these guys play ball, man. All right, the one and only Nicole. All right, talking stupid. How about that? Crackhead. Your mama's a crackhead. All right. So what was I saying? Oh, so I don't think that Sharon Moore is going to be facing any kind of backlash about what took place with that cheating scandal under Harbaugh. Harbaugh bolted at the right time, and he was thumbing his nose at him the whole time, so there's no big deal there. I also saw a report where some guy is calling for Ryan Day to still be fired, even though he just won the national championship. And he's basically saying the reason why he should be fired is because he can't beat Michigan. And because he can't beat Michigan, that means more to the people in Ohio than it does to win a national championship. Crazy Santy says, hi, how you doing? I beg to differ with that. I mean, those people are rabid up there, but to put everything in one basket about whether or not you have a successful season if you can beat that one team, I don't buy that anymore. That might have been true a few years ago, But now that you have the playoffs, and it really doesn't matter if two good teams playing that game and they're able to still get to the playoffs, that kind of deems that matchup irrelevant. Now, what you may see someday in the future, you might have Michigan and Ohio State playing again during the playoffs. Now, that would make, can you sub? Yes, you can sub. Hi, Santi, can you sub to me? Yeah, send me your information and I'll take a look at it. Just make sure you put it in there, and I go back and look at it, and I'll subscribe to you. But I appreciate if you subscribe to me. But it would be interesting if you see Ohio State and Michigan meet somewhere in the playoffs. I think that's when it becomes more meaningful to beat your rival, especially if you're able to beat them twice in that same year. But to fire Day, no matter if he lost to Michigan 10 times in a row and come back and win 2 or 3 championships, who really cares? Who really gives a damn if he lost to Michigan? I think these people really caring about themselves in this particular instance, how they feel as opposed to what makes sense. And find a guy like Day with all the success he had, it really doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But that's college. Back to the NFL, you have the Jaguars. They suddenly fired Trent Baalke on Wednesday, and it became clear that as long as Baalke stayed with the team, he was going to run off potential coaching candidates. And the further you go down the list, you're running out of options about whether or not you're going to get the coach that matches your particular program. Now, I will say this, all these hotshot candidates, everybody's saying this guy's going to be a great one. He's a great fit over here. He may be the worst fit out of all of them. I think there's a coach out there for every team that has an application in for those open jobs who is the right person to be on a Bill Belichick, Andy Reid kind of run, but they overlook those candidates because they get fixated on one particular person. If they take their time to do the due diligence and talk to all these people and don't get in a big rush, I think every particular organization out there can find a guy to be the one to take them to stratospheric heights. But when you go and let the prognosticators and the people who tell you who is the best candidates, who should go there, then you're going to get the same results you already get. Especially with a guy like Shad Khan, because he doesn't meddle a whole lot now. He's actually the perfect kind of owner because he don't stick his head in too much. Now you get out of line, then you have to step in then. But for the most part, he let you do what you're supposed to do. And I think if they just take their time and do this search, they can find that one guy that is the one to lead their program to higher heights. But I'm mentioning the Jaguars because Liam Coen was one of the guys who pulled his name out of the chase with the Jaguars because of Trent Baalke. Now, then he goes back to Tampa and he negotiates the highest deal ever for offensive coordinator. So he's going to Tampa, right? Well, then the news broke that Baalke was fired, and now all of a sudden he's back in the running to be the coach of the Jaguars, and rumors are surfacing now that he's about to sign a deal to become the Jaguars coach. He sold out Tampa, so he can't go back there. So the only choice he has now is to go to Jacksonville. So the real secrecy here is he's probably been talking to Jacksonville the whole time, the same way that Ben Johnson was talking to Chicago, Aaron Glenn with the Jets. There's no real suspense to these things. And I think he told the Jaguars, I would take this job if you got rid of Baalke. So they called that hurry-up meeting, and next thing you know, Baalke is going. Now here we are talking about Liam Coen as the coach of the Jaguars. All right, Crazy Santy says, it's up to you. Chris Bristol, what's going on, man? You go to boxing, football, swimming, go, you have 10 seconds. Man, I got less than 10 seconds, man. I got more than that. I got 10 seconds times a billion, man. If you want to talk that sports stuff, I can rap with anybody. But Coen looks like he's going to be the next coach of the Jaguars, and he's been negotiating the whole time. And to walk away from the highest paid OC position in Tampa, he must have had his mind already made up. But he's burning that bridge with the Bucs for now. and he's going to come down here to Jacksonville and see what he can do with that team. But the big thing is the conference championship games this weekend. A lot of people, I've been hearing it from everybody I talk to, everybody on the radio line and papers, they really hate the Chiefs, man. Why do people hate the Chiefs? They hate the Chiefs because they're successful. They are on the same kind of successful run that New England was on with Tom Brady. You got the quarterback, you got the coach, and you keep racking up wins after wins after wins. The same things they're saying about Kansas City and getting the referees, assistants, cheating and all of that, that's the same kind of stuff they said with New England. So it's not that the people don't want to see somebody win. It's just that it's not their team. And because it's not their team, they're going to fuss and gripe about it. And every time something perceived goes against the other team who is playing against Kansas City, they're going to say they're cheating. Now, I think that the quarterback, just like I thought with New England, they do get more calls than anybody else, especially in the gray area. You can stop Kansas City, and they'll call a penalty that will give them a first down that enabled their drive. That's what happened to Houston. Houston had a 3rd down and 12. The guy came in, Mahomes threw the ball, and he pushed him on the shoulder pads. But from the angle behind Mahomes, it looks like it was helmet-to-helmet contact. But all they did was push him on the shoulder pads, give him a first down, they go down and score. Those instances like that, those extra possessions make all the difference in the playoffs. And Kansas City has taken advantage of that to advance to the further rounds. Then you got Mahomes. He likes to flop and all that kind of stuff around the sidelines. They're going to call a penalty if you get anywhere close to the guy. But if you pull up, then he's going to keep on running. So what are you going to do? Are you going to take a chance on getting the penalty, or are you just going to stand there and see if he goes out of bounds? Well, like I said before, if it's me, my team, and I see a guy like that that's doing that consistently, and they throw a flag against all the teams anyway, hell, you might as well hit him. And when you hit him, you let him know that every time you skirt that sideline, we're going to put a hit on you. It's not going to be dirty, but we're going to put a hit on you, old style. And you can slide all you want at the last minute, but we're going to put a hit on you, man. All right, Zigzag said, I've been a Chiefs fan 35 years, loyalty. I'm enjoying winning. However, I have to deal with a lot of haters. Yeah, there's a lot of haters out there. Now, I kind of sympathize with you a little bit because I've seen Kansas City when they had like, what's his name, Marty Schottenheimer and Dick Vermeil. They had some really good teams in Kansas City that found a way to blow it. So the success they have it now, I think, is fair play. Turnabout is fair play to me. So I suggest that, you enjoy it while you can, because at some point it's going to come to an end, and then you're going to be just like all these other programs, like the Chicago Bulls. 30 years ago, they had fans everywhere, and they say, well, we've been a fan for 30 years of the Bulls. And that's my team forever. Logos, plates, flags, and everything that you want to see from the Bulls. I'm talking about all over the place, especially down here in Florida. But the minute they went back to mediocrity, you can't find a Bulls hat or shirt anywhere. Now, I will say this, about a month ago, I did pick up a guy. I told you I do rideshare. I hadn't been driving in a couple of weeks. But right before I stopped, there was a guy I picked up, and he had a Bulls hat on. I gave him hell about that, man. Me and him laughed the whole trip because he understood exactly what I'm saying. Everybody have these great Bulls fans, but all of a sudden, you don't see the representation anymore. And same thing with Kansas City. Now, Jacksonville is a military town, so I will see a Kansas City tag or something every now and then, but now I'm seeing it much more regular. Everybody's a Chiefs fan. But once the Chiefs slip back down to mediocrity, you won't see that anymore. Kind of like what with New England. Everybody and every kid, they're a Pats fan. You can't find them anymore. So guys like Zigzag, who's been a fan for 35 years, me and my Steelers for over 40 years, you got to give us credit because we didn't sell out. When they got the Jacksonville franchise, like a lot of people I know, they sold out and became Jags fan. Hell no. They put them in my division. I'm not going to leave my team for an upstart. They might fold next year. So why would I burn my loyalty to go be with some new team? It didn't make sense to me. All right. KHD, I don't know what you mean by that. Kansas City Chiefs used to be one of the worst teams in the league. Yeah, they had times when they were the worst teams in the league, but, when you're in these professional sports, they go back and forth. I mean, I might be bad this year. 5 years later, I'd be great. That's why I think that the coaches, unless you're really, really bad, you got a really bad group that can't work together, then you should get rid of the head coach. But if you got a team that's 500 and they look to be improving, and you fire him because he's had a couple bad seasons in a row, and you're going to be starting over every couple of years. And I think that's what holds teams back. I think these coaches should give a little bit extra time to try to build a program instead of having that knee-jerk reaction to fire them. Because a lot of times, you never know what you might have. Look at Cleveland and Belichick. In basketball, Coach K, he started out terrible at Duke, but they stuck with him, and look what he did with that program. It can happen. Zach said I'm 48, and a lot of years of disappointment. Yeah, but the thing is, you get what you want out of it. I mean, sometimes if you're winning all the time, it can be boring because it's not even worth watching, especially if you're going to win by 2 and 3 touchdowns every time you step on the field. You want to go up and down, and give you something to get excited about, I think. But, of course, everybody wants to win. It would be great if we all could win all the time, but the beauty of it is when my teams lose, that's when I talk the most trash. When we win, I got nothing to say because I expect to win. But that's just me. All right. Here we see what happened to the Detroit Lions. I think they got out-coached. Everybody's talking about Ben Johnson and how great he's going to be as a coach. But you look at some of the plays they were calling against Washington, and you just scratch your head. Now, Dan Campbell is a gambler. He'll go for it on 4th and short or 4th and 3 and 4 often. And I think that is the reason why Detroit didn't go to the Super Bowl last year, because of his brash attempts to try to be different. But sometimes you got to scale back, and he doesn't seem to know where the line is, when to scale back. Now, this guy here, Johnson, he's cutting deals with the Bears the whole time. He's trying to coach, so he's got split loyalties. Yes, he wants to win, but at the same time, he's concentrating on what's next with Chicago. So he's got distractions going on. And then when you make those calls, when you take Jameson Williams on that reverse and try to throw a pass late, they're in the game at that point. Once he threw that interception, that was the separation that Washington needed, and that turned out to be the difference in the game, in my opinion. So you want to know why Detroit lost? It's a combination of things. Yes, they had a lot of guys on IR, but they were also winning with those guys on IR. So you can't win all year, then all of a sudden say this is the reason. Now, they've been giving up a lot. They bent a whole lot. And they ran up against a bunch of youngsters who had confidence, and they didn't give Detroit an opportunity to make that great comeback like they're known for. So that is all the reasons why I think that Detroit lost. Will they be back? Sure they will. But it's going to be different. He's going to have to find some more coordinators to replace Johnson and Glenn. But Detroit, in this game, I think they got out-coached, and I think they were ripe for an upset, just like when Green Bay went into Dallas last year and blew them out. All right. JC says, since the media and fans have complained about KC getting all the calls their way, this weekend Buffalo game, the calls will be watched closely. Well, we've been watching the calls closely all along. You have to know that the NFL has to have a hand in all of this. It used to be when they had replay, it would be the officials on the field at that stadium who made the call. But they're not making those replay calls now. They're going to New York. Every time a score is made, they look at it in New York to stamp it off. So they really control what's going on here. So if they don't want a certain team to rule, all they got to do is rule against them. The fans are booing at the referees at the stadium, but it's the people in New York making the calls. The Bears are always firing their coaches, and the team is without good leadership. Exactly. You could have kept Lovie Smith. I mean, every other year he would come with a good team and a team that threatened to go to the Super Bowl. But, after one of those bad years, they got rid of him. So I think if you take a Smith and let him stick around a little bit longer, who knows what he might have been able to produce. Now, kind of like with Tomlin, coaches can get stale in one spot. And I think that that's what organizations want to guard against. And as a coach, you don't want to stay in one place too long anyway. But if you've been in a place like a Tomlin 18 years and you're in your 50s, I think you pretty much got it made. So whether he sticks with Pittsburgh or not, he can pretty much do what he want to do. He can quit coaching and be all right. But I don't think that's what's going to happen. These organizations, they cut their own throats, man. All right. Some of the Lions coaches were interviewing with other teams. What's up with that? They do the same thing every year. Top 2 teams in the league, they always hot shot to poach their coordinators. That's why you have parity amongst the league, because you take Belichick, for instance, he had a book of how all the coordinators that he would be facing coached. He had a book on all of them. So we playing the Lions this week, so I'm going to pull out my book of Johnson and Glenn and start there with my game planning for that opponent. So everybody's a retread, man. But if you can pull into college and pull out a guy that's nobody really knows, then you can jump off to a fast start. But most of the guys now in college, they already been in the NFL at some point. So it's still retreads. All right, let's see what this poll is saying. Do you hate the Chiefs' success? A lot of people say no. I don't believe that. Just from who I talk to, I know doggone well they hate the Chiefs' success. They can't help but root for the Chiefs' demise. But the Chiefs are going to be hard to beat. And I think if they get a couple of those borderline calls, then it's going to make a difference in the game. Now, Mahomes came out and he made a statement about getting those calls down the game, and he pretty much defended the officials, saying that they have a tough job and sometimes you don't get the call you want, but you have to roll with it, which is pure BS, because when he gets a call that goes against him during the game, you can see him jumping up and down, turning colors and flips and everything else. But now, when it goes his way, he's saying that the refs are just doing their job. Whatever, man. Zag says referees are not perfect. They make mistakes. They're humans. All teams get bad calls. That's true. Edwin says some of the Lions coaches. Okay, I already read that. I just think that there's a lot of politics involved. With the money is on the line, everybody's made their money during the league. So I think the playoffs, you should just let the team sort it out on the field. What are you talking about sound emotional, man? I am perfectly fine. What I'm getting emotional about? I have nothing to do with Kansas City or Buffalo. I'm just giving you my opinion on what I think. Now, if that rings a bell with you and you're getting emotional, that's on you. But I'm not going to get into a confrontation with something that doesn't affect me a whole lot. I'm crying about the Chiefs. I am mentioning the fact that people are crying about the Chiefs. I asked the poll question, do you hate the Chiefs' success? Sound like you're a Chiefs fan. I just talked with a Chiefs fan. He didn't have that same impression. So what are you talking about crying about the Chiefs? Eventually, the Chiefs are going to get beat, and it won't make a difference to me, because next year, my team can't play again to next year. So what good is it do me to complain about that? I did say, though, you have guys like Mahomes that do a lot of crying when things go against them, but he came out in the news and spoke out for the referees, talking about how hard their job is, but he's talking generally when things go his way. But it doesn't act that way in the game when it goes against him. So he's been a hypocrite when he say that. But I also said, when he's flopping along the sidelines, if I'm coaching, I'm going to hit him. And that can be the Chiefs, it could be the Raiders, it could be the Cowboys, any team. When you have a coach that is, when you have a team that is taking advantage of the rules like that, then I'm going to strike back. And you strike back by putting a big hit on one of the players. That's how you do that. So it doesn't matter about Kansas City. Kansas City just happened to be the subject of the day. All right. I think they should not allow them to interview till after the season is over because it affects the teams on the field. Yeah, but they have that tight calendar. They have things they need to take care of to get ready for the draft. Now, I do think they still have a lot of time, but let them tell it. They got to work 20 hours a day working on this stuff. I don't agree with that. I coach, and if you got to spend 20 hours a day on an opponent, what are you doing? I mean, you got a whole coaching staff. He can do that they're doing this over here. You got your own thing you're working on. And collectively, you might put 20 hours in, but there's no reason why one coach should be in the building for 20 hours working on a football game. Ain't a whole lot going to change from what you see on the film. What you see during the games, they're looking at their film and they're trying to find the tiniest of advantage that they can use against those opponents. They might throw a wrinkle or two in here and there that they haven't put on tape yet. But other than that, what you've been seeing, that's what you're going to get during the game. It's just a matter of who's going to make the play, man. All right. But yeah, I think they should wait till the end of the season. But where the calendar is so tight, kind of like college football now with that transfer portal, it happens during the playoffs. So they're going to have to do some adjusting of that because you got a lot of overlapping taking place, and it's affecting the teams more so in the playoffs than it is for the ones who don't make the playoffs because they're free to do what they want to do at that point. But yeah, I just want to see, touch on the feelings of the fans and see what they thought about the Chiefs. Most people are saying to me that they don't hate the Chiefs, but I disagree from the ones that the people that I come across, and it's not the case at all. And they're going to hate the Chiefs until they start losing. And the people that claim they're great Chiefs fans, not the ones who've been with them for years and years and years, but the bandwagon riders who just want to be attached to something that's positive at this point. They're going to drop off when Kansas City drops off, and they're going to go find the next hot team. And I don't know who that's going to be, but they do have a lot of similarities with the New England teams with Brady and Belichick. All right. Okay, do you think the Commanders will get to the Super Bowl? Well, Commanders going to do one or two things. Either they're going to play like they played to get to this point, or they're going to get on the national stage and fall apart. Think TCU a couple of years ago when they made the national championship. The wheels fell apart once they got to the championship game because they realized, hey, man, we're on a national stage. Are we really supposed to be here? Then you start questioning yourself, and it backfires on you. All right, do you think Daniels and the Commanders have a shot against Philly? They got a great shot. And if they can stop Saquon Barkley, they're going to beat Philadelphia. And the way Daniels is playing, he's playing lights out, and the stage is not going to be too big for him. So I look forward to that game. But I'll be back on tomorrow, and we'll talk more in depth about these two conference championship games. And imposter syndrome could sneak in. Sure it could. A lot of imposters out there, but I think that Daniels is not going to be affected by that. And I think Washington is going to come down to can they make a play late if they can slow Saquon Barkley. But if he's getting 200 yards, they're not going to have a chance because the Eagles right now, they need that running game because Hurts is not playing very well throwing the football. If you can stop Barkley and limit the scrambles of Hurts, then Philadelphia is in trouble. And I think Washington knows that. It's a matter of can they execute that game plan. These two teams know each other well, so it should be a good cat and mouse game. Well, listen, I appreciate you guys chiming in with me. My lights just went out on me. And I'm in one of those rooms with the timers on it. And I've been sitting here too long. But anyway, I appreciate you guys chiming in with me, man. And I'll catch you guys on the other side. But in the meantime, I got to get out of here and go to work. Anybody new on here, please like and subscribe. And I'll hear from you more often. So until I see you the next time, you guys have a great day. But until then, I got to go to work, man. I'm out. All right, see you, Edwin. All right, I get the poll results before I go. Most people say they don't hate the Chiefs, 88%. I disagree. All right, have a good day.